Back in 2008, a standard resort view room at Disney's Grand Floridian went for around $435 a night. Today, that same category of room is listed at roughly $1,100 before you even add tax, and that's the entry level option. Theme park views, club level, and suites climb well past $2,000 and $3,000 a night. That works out to a price increase of about 158% in under 2 decades, far outpacing inflation. And it drops the Grand Floridian squarely into the same nightly bracket as a Ritz-Carlton or a Four Seasons. Disney calls it their flagship. They market the entire Deluxe tier as luxury. The catch is that in the hotel business, the word luxury has an actual external definition, one decided by outside inspectors rather than by a marketing department. And measured against that definition, Disney's most expensive hotels have a surprising track record. So before we decide whether Disney is faking anything, we have to pin down what luxury even means in this business, because the industry has a very specific and fairly unforgiving answer. The organization most people trust for this is AAA, which has been rating American hotels since 1937. Their system runs from 1 to 5 diamonds, and the way they hand those diamonds out has almost nothing in common with the star ratings you see on a booking website. AAA sends real inspectors, many of them former hotel managers and food and beverage professionals, and they show up unannounced. They stay, they eat, they test the service, and they grade the property against a long, detailed checklist. The top tier, 5 diamond, goes to somewhere around 0.4% of the tens of thousands of hotels they evaluate. In a typical year, that comes out to roughly 120 properties in the entire country. It's rare enough that people in the industry compare it to a Michelin star, and hotels that earn it hang the plaque in the lobby because it's the one rating a marketing team can't buy or vote its way into. And what pushes a hotel from 4 diamond up to 5 is service. Things like around-the-clock room service, higher staffing levels, anticipatory care, specific amenities, and a consistency where nothing is ever off. Keep that word, service, in your head, because it's about to matter a lot. Notice the language Disney uses to sell all this, because the vocabulary is doing a lot of work. Disney sorts its hotels into 3 tiers it named itself: value at the bottom, moderate in the middle, and deluxe at the top, with a further signature label slapped on its fanciest restaurants. That latter feels official, almost like a rating, which is exactly the point. But it's entirely internal. Deluxe doesn't correspond to any outside standard. It's a marketing category Disney invented, and a hotel can be labeled deluxe and priced accordingly, while an independent inspector still slots it a full level below true luxury. The taxonomy exists to make the price feel earned. When you're paying deluxe rates, the word itself is assuring you that you're at the top of something, even though the top of Disney's private ladder and the top of the industry's ladder turn out to be 2 very different heights. So where do Disney's most expensive hotels actually fall on the real scale? Disney's deluxe resorts, the Grand Floridian included, generally sit at the AAA 4 diamond level. And to be clear, 4 diamond is a good rating. It describes a refined, upscale hotel, and plenty of excellent properties never climb higher. But it is a full rung below the luxury tier, and the distance between the two is exactly the service gap we just talked about. Then comes the striking part. In nearly 90 years of AAA handing out 5 diamond ratings across both Walt Disney World in Florida and Disneyland in California, the number of Disney-operated hotels that have ever earned one is 0. That list includes the Grand Floridian, the resort Disney literally calls its flagship, along with the Polynesian, the Contemporary, and the Grand Californian over in Anaheim, the one often described as the crown jewel of the Disneyland resort. Not one of them has ever cleared it. Every Disney-run hotel on either coast tops out at 4 diamond, no matter how high the nightly rate climbs. So when you pay $1,100 or $1,200 for a standard room and several thousand for a suite, you are paying a 5 diamond price to sleep in a hotel the industry has consistently graded 1 level down. Pay attention to which ratings Disney does promote too, because it tells you what the company already knows. Disney loves to cite Traveler's Choice and Reader's Poll awards, the kind that come from online popularity contests where any hotel with a big enough fan base finishes near the top. Those awards are real, but they measure enthusiasm, not service standards. And the most passionate fan base in all of travel is always going to do well in a popularity vote. What you will almost never see Disney advertise is a AAA 5 Diamond or a Forbes 5-star designation for one of its hotels, the two ratings the wider luxury industry actually respects, because its resorts don't hold them. When a company leans hard on the awards it wins and stays quiet about the ones it doesn't, that's usually a tell. There is one 5-diamond hotel sitting on Walt Disney World property, though. It's the Four Seasons Resort Orlando. It opened in 2014, and it holds the only AAA 5-diamond rating of any hotel in all of Central Florida. No Disney resort has ever matched it. But look at who runs it. The Four Seasons sits on land connected to Golden Oak, the ultra-high-end residential community Disney developed in a back corner of the property, the only place on Earth where you can own a home inside Walt Disney World. Disney built and controls that community. The hotel beside it, however, is operated by Four Seasons, a completely separate luxury hospitality company. Disney doesn't run it, doesn't staff it, and doesn't set its service standards. So the single true luxury hotel standing on Disney's own soil flies a competitor's flag. And that detail undercuts the most common excuse for Disney's ratings, the idea that a theme park hotel simply can't reach that bar because of the crowds, or the family focus, or the sheer volume of guests. A 5-diamond hotel exists on Disney's land right now, full of families heading to the parks every morning. It just isn't a Disney hotel. The bar is reachable. Disney's operation doesn't reach it. If you want proof that Disney could clear that bar when it decides to, it's sitting inside the Grand Floridian itself. The resort is home to Victoria and Albert's, a small, formal restaurant with a rotating menu, tableside service, and a dress code. And it holds the AAA 5-diamond rating. It's the only 5-diamond restaurant in Central Florida. So the one thing at Disney's flagship that reaches the genuine top tier of its category is a restaurant. Not a single one of the rooms guests are paying $1,000+ a night to sleep in. That contrast tells you something important. Disney has the craft, the staff, and the operational discipline to run a true 5-star experience. They prove it every night at 18 or so tables in that dining room. They've simply chosen not to extend that standard to the hotel wrapped around it, because a restaurant seating a few dozen people is a very different math problem than a resort with more than 800 rooms. Luxury service doesn't scale cheaply, and Disney's deluxe resorts are built for scale. And that restaurant isn't just clearing the bar, it's one of the most decorated dining rooms in the entire country. Victoria and Albert's has held the AAA 5-diamond award every single year since 2000. And it added the Forbes Travel Guide 5-star in 2018, which are the two ratings the luxury world takes most seriously. Holding both at once makes it the only restaurant in all of Florida to do so. Then, in 2024, it went one further and earned a Michelin star, becoming the first restaurant owned and operated by a U.S. theme park resort ever to receive one. And it held on to that star the following year as well. The Michelin inspectors specifically praised its atmosphere and its service, describing a leisurely, hours-long meal paced by a brigade of veteran servers. So Disney is completely capable of running a genuine, world-class hospitality operation. It's proving it, at the very highest level anyone measures, inside the exact same building guests are sleeping in. The one variable that changes everything is the size of the room. Victoria and Albert's seats only about 30 guests a night. The Grand Floridian has more than 800 rooms. You can lavish that kind of anticipatory, 5-star service on 30 people and still turn a healthy profit. Spreading it across 800 rooms would cost an enormous amount and crush the margins Disney answers to. So it simply doesn't. It runs the restaurant to a 5-star standard and the hotel wrapped around it to a 4-star one, then charges luxury prices for the whole package. So how do you charge a 5-diamond price for a 4-diamond hotel and have guests not just accept it, but line up for it? You theme it. And this is the exact thing Disney does better than any company on the planet. Walk into the Grand Floridian and the building goes to work on you. There's the 5-story domed lobby, the open cage elevators, the stained glass, a live pianist or an orchestra playing on the second floor balcony, and staff in crisp, turn-of-the-century whites. The resort is styled after the grand Victorian beach hotels of Florida's Gilded Age, and even the name does part of the job: Grand Floridian. Over at the neighboring Contemporary, the monorail glides in through the lobby in a way no hotel outside a theme park could ever offer. Every one of these is a signal, a piece of visual shorthand your brain reads as expensive and exclusive. And they're staged with the same obsessive care Disney pours into a themed land like Galaxy's Edge or a ride queue. That's the trick worth naming plainly. A luxury hotel is, functionally, just another environment for Disney to theme, and they build a beautifully convincing stage set of one. The craft is aimed at the appearance of luxury. The price is written as though the service behind that appearance matched it. The staging can crack too. Through much of 2025, guests paying those $1,000 plus rates at the Grand Floridian were walking past scaffolding, blocked off sections, and the steady sound of drills, because Disney was mid-refurbishment on the lobby, the guest rooms, and even the entrance road. A true luxury operation tends to comp, relocate, or heavily discount when a guest's stay collides with construction. At Disney, the rack rate held. You paid flagship prices to sleep in a work zone, which is only possible when demand for the location is strong enough that the service experience barely factors into the sale. Meanwhile, the substance of luxury, the service an inspector would grade, has been eroding for years. Consider what Disney has quietly stripped out of its resort stays recently. Disney's Magical Express, the free motor coach that used to carry you from the Orlando airport straight to your hotel and even handle your luggage, was eliminated. Traditional room service was scaled back or cut at nearly every resort during the 2020 shutdown and mostly never came back. Today, the Grand Floridian is one of the only Disney-owned hotels that still offers a real version of it, while everyone else gets pointed toward a mobile order or the food court. Complimentary magic bands, once included with every stay, became an upcharge. Package delivery, which let you send a purchase back to your room instead of hauling it around all day, ended. The full-size bathroom toiletries got swapped for wall-mounted dispensers. There's no complimentary breakfast at any Disney-owned resort, something even mid-tier chains off-property routinely throw in. Valet parking runs around $42 a night. On their own, each of these reads as a minor trim. Stacked together, they pull the experience steadily away from the pampering people expect at this price. At the very same time, the price keeps climbing, and every one of them is a line item AAA weighs when it decides whether a hotel is 4 diamond or 5. To see the gap in concrete terms, look at what that same money buys at the Four Seasons a few minutes away. Rooms come with a tablet to control the space and reach a real 24-hour concierge. There's a complimentary kids club so parents can get an actual break, a full-service spa, multiple pools including an adults-only option, a rooftop restaurant with fireworks views, and a staffing level tuned so that requests get anticipated instead of queued. That's the texture of service AAA is measuring when it draws the line between 4 and 5 diamond. Now set that beside a deluxe Disney stay, where room service has vanished, your shampoo comes out of a wall dispenser, you carry your own shopping back from the parks, and no breakfast is included. On a given night, the two can cost about the same. Only one of them is built around service, and it's the one Disney doesn't operate. There's a psychological piece that makes the whole thing easier to pull off. A deluxe Disney stay is, for most families, a rare and expensive splurge, often the trip of a lifetime. And that framing suppresses the scrutiny you'd apply to an ordinary hotel. You're not comparison shopping staffing ratios. You arrive emotionally invested, primed by months of planning and a feed full of influencer photos of the lobby at golden hour and the fireworks from the balcony. The setting is potent enough and the occasion loaded enough that the missing room service and the dispenser shampoo barely register in the moment. Disney is very good at making sure the first impression, the lobby, the view, the music, is flawless, because the first impression is what gets photographed and remembered. The trimmed back service reveals itself slowly, in the small moments across the stay, long after the booking is paid for. Now, because this really does cut both ways, there are things Disney's deluxe resorts do well, and a few they do better than a conventional luxury hotel. The deluxe tier still includes daily housekeeping and nightly turndown, which is more than some higher rated properties bother with. Disney doesn't charge the resort fees that real luxury hotels love to bury in your bill. Standard self-parking is free, and when Disney tried adding an overnight parking charge back in 2018, the backlash was loud enough that they reversed it a few years later. The transportation network, when it's running, moves enormous numbers of people around a massive property, and the theming carries real value. Plenty of guests would rather sit in the Grand Floridian's warm Victorian lobby with a band playing than in the cool marble silence of a Four Seasons. And that's a completely fair preference. The atmosphere is a real product, and for a lot of families, it's the whole point of the trip. So none of this makes them bad hotels. They're good hotels. The specific problem is smaller and sharper than that. The word luxury, and the price bolted to it, promise a tier of service the resorts sit one measurable rung below, and Disney fills that gap with set design instead of substance. So why can Disney get away with charging luxury rates for an upscale but not luxury product year after year, while quietly trimming the perks? The answer is location, and it's a kind of location no competitor can copy. The monorail resorts sit inside the bubble, a 5-minute walk or a single monorail stop from the Magic Kingdom. You can watch the fireworks burst over Cinderella Castle from a balcony above the Seven Seas Lagoon. You can roll out of bed and be through the turnstiles before the off-property crowds have even found parking. No Four Seasons, no Ritz-Carlton, no 5-star hotel anywhere can offer that, because none of them sit inside Walt Disney World. That geographic monopoly is the whole engine. It lets Disney price its rooms against demand for the location rather than the quality of the service. And demand for that location runs effectively bottomless. It's the same yield management logic driving so much of what Disney does now. The company has openly shifted its focus toward higher income guests, and a wealthy family booking a once-in-a-lifetime trip is buying proximity and a feeling, not auditing the staffing chart. So proximity becomes the product. The Victorian theming, the word grand, the deluxe label on the brochure. All of it primes you to read that unbeatable location as though it were an unbeatable hotel. So the next time you see that $1,000 plus rate on a deluxe resort and feel the pull of the word luxury, remember what you're paying for. The Grand Floridian is a beautiful building, the theming is often wonderful, and the location is unmatched. But by the hotel industry's own gold standard scorecard, one applied by in-person inspectors for nearly 90 years, Disney's flagship has never once been rated a luxury hotel. And neither has any other resort the company operates on either coast. The single true luxury hotel standing on Walt Disney World property belongs to Four Seasons, and the only 5-diamond product Disney itself runs at the Grand Floridian is a restaurant. What Disney sells at these prices is one of the most convincing themed environments it has ever built. A beautifully staged impression of a grand hotel, wrapped around a level of service that quietly sits a rung below the picture. It's some of the best set design in the world. Once you can see it as set design, you get to decide for yourself whether the address, the atmosphere, and the fireworks out the window are worth the premium. For a lot of people, they really will be. Just know that the luxury you're paying for is, to a real degree, part of the show.